Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to another episode of the Firmly Grounded podcast, a podcast for Muslim university students and beyond. This is Hisham Abu Yusuf from Roots Academy. Roots Academy is an organization where we enable university students to have structured, transformative Islamic learning on campus. And I'm joined today by our very dear guest, Shaykh Jamal Abdinasir, and we'll be talking about a realm of issues, and we'll see where the conversation takes us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Shaykh Jamal?
Alhamdulillah, barakallah, Shaykh Hisham. Ahlan wa sahlan. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, very well. Despite Shaykh Jamal feeling a little bit unwell,
Alhamdulillah.
he's very graciously joined us.
Jazakumullah khairan.
Alhamdulillah.
Barakallah.
Shaykh Jamal, I think in the last few years in the UK, we've done work with a lot of young people. A lot of young people who maybe they thought the Qur'an was beyond their reach. It was only for special people, for religious people. It was only for specific families who produce huffaz. Many of them realize on their journey the Qur'an is actually for everyone. Many Muslims who are at university, they find themselves in a situation where there's loads of distractions to the nth degree. And many of them have a little bit of spare cash, so they're eating out, spending time with friends. You have the temptation of clubs. You have the distractions that you'd have, entertainment, etc. Amidst all of that, and then the busyness of lectures, exam schedules, is it possible for somebody to actually develop a relationship with the Qur'an during the university life? Have you seen it happen? And what is it about those people that makes it possible?
Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'du. Subhanallah, this is something that is very common. And as the years go by, it becomes even more common, and we hear more and more brothers and sisters, students, querying about this and asking about this. And subhanAllah, it's not only possible, but it's very much so the case that they can have the best Qur'an journey, the most transformative Qur'an journey during university. And we do know students. I know students personally who are medics. I know others who are dentists, and other than them who have memorized the whole Qur'an during the university period, amidst their studies and their coursework and their deadlines and their examinations. It's very possible. It's very possible. No matter what position you find yourself in, whatever you're studying, whatever course or expectations they have of you at the university, you still can't do it.
So it's possible. I suppose there's a bunch of people seeing this. First group are the people who are struggling with the why. So maybe they grew up in a household where the Qur'an was a decoration on the shelf. Maybe they had a maktab or madrasa they went to in the evening where they saw people, not being treated well, and they never really understood why would I memorize, why would I recite, why would I ponder, why would I reflect. They come on university campus and they're searching for their identity, joining societies, trying out different sports. They're searching. They never thought to search in the Qur'an. What should be the motivation or the intention? If you were a salesman and you were selling the idea of, and I'm a university, and you're saying, look, Hisham, you got to start your journey with the Qur'an. How would you sell it to me? Why should I?
I would sell it to yourself or the person who I'm interacting with by linking it with why they are in university in the first place. Why have they come to university? And if they tell me that we've come because of pressures at home and our families, I will say that's not enough. Even if you are not convinced about university, there must be even a single percentage, 2%, 3%, where you think, okay, I'm not convinced, but at the end of the day, I can get something from this. There is something at the back of your mind, because if you didn't believe in it completely, I don't believe you would proceed, even if you were being pressured externally. Let's just say externally. So you've discovered something then. You've discovered maybe this leads to now career progression. You've now mind mapped your future. I'm going to get this job, and then I'm going to accelerate into that job, and then I'm going to get this amount of money, and then I'm going to make hijrah, and then I'm going to get a earning which is tax-free, and then I can buy a house with no riba, and then I'm going to be fine, and then my children are going to be okay. So despite you may not being convinced that much in the beginning, you've now managed to work out what this is going to bring back for you later on, even if it's not immediate.
And the motivation is often financial.
And the motivation is, yes, dunya
I'm
related.
going to make some money.
I'm going to make some money. My children, my
Stability, financial stability.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the scholars, they mentioned, من عرف ما يطلب هان عليه ما يبذل. I came across this many, many years ago. And this principle that they have here, it's very telling, subhanAllah. Anything that you proceed with in life, you need to know the value of what it brings. من عرف ما يطلب هان عليه ما يبذل.
Then it becomes easy for you to go through the process because you know what you're going
the process,
through and
sacrifice,
why.
These
Sleepless
students,
nights, library.
that's what they do. The Qur'an doesn't even require all of this. If you were to know, the Qur'an doesn't require any of that. The Qur'an doesn't want you to be like that.
So is it that many people, they're at university, but they're willing to go through the furnace and the grind
Yes.
and eat chicken pesto pasta if they have
Yeah.
to? Because there's as they say, there's a golden pot at the end of the rainbow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But they don't know what's waiting for them with the Qur'an.
And let's
They
be
have no
honest,
idea.
there could be a golden pot there and there may not be one. Let's be very frank.
With university.
Yeah, it's difficult for students to hear this.
So many people are unemployed, graduates.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of looking.
Yeah. We want to be honest with the students. We don't want to discourage them. We want to be honest. There could be a golden pot. There may not be a golden pot. But the Qur'an, you do know there's something waiting for you on the other side.
There's a guarantee. So there's a difference.
guarantee.
There's a guaranteed golden pot at the end. Whereas for a university student, there's a potential, maybe not.
Maybe.
And still they're willing to put in.
They go forward. So here we've realized one of the things that unlock the heart now and the mindset and that mind map that they've made for the dunya pursuit and the university study and the career growth and so on is not present over here with the Qur'an. And because of this, the Qur'an to them is distant. I think that's a reasonable word to use.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's abstract reality. Something
Abstract reality.
my parents said was important. But what is it really? For me, is it a manual for my life?
And
Does it
Allah
matter?
rebuked a group of people because of this. As soon as you said it, I remembered the ayah from Surah Al-Mutaffifin, Surah Al-Tatfif. إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا قَالَ أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. When our verses are recited upon them, they say, this is something that the legends of the past used to say. This is from the people.
It's a storybook.
It's not, it's a storybook. That's a better way to put it.
You have a cultural relationship with the Qur'an.
Yeah. But then what did Allah say after that? كَلَّا بَلْ رَانَ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Allah Jalla wa Ala mentioned that there is a heavy cover on their hearts because of the actions that they are doing or they used to do. And that led to consequences. كَلَّا إِنَّهُمْ عَنْ رَبِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ لَمَحْجُوبُونَ. May Allah protect us. And that led to them not meeting Allah and seeing Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala, or meeting Him and not seeing Him. And there being a veil and a hijab between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Can we say, like, for somebody to have the motivation to get through something as difficult as university, medical school, engineering, history, whatever it is, the reason they go through it is because there's sufficient motivation, sufficient pressure. Society sold you the dream.
Absolutely.
The British or the American, wherever you are, that dream that I'm going to get this at the end. And even though it's muhtamal, it's potentially, but you still go through it because of that why. However, the Qur'an has a guaranteed, a relationship with the Qur'an has a guaranteed end result. But there isn't enough why, whether it's socially or within ourselves, to go on the journey. And then, if we are people who have not started the journey with the Qur'an, can we say we are spiritually, we've been spiritually blocked from the verses you just mentioned? كَلَّا بَلْ رَانَ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. There's a spiritual rust that's stopping me from starting. Like a bicycle that has a rusty chain. You can't ride. It can't move. So this rust we've got to somehow polish and get rid of this rust. So how does somebody, they feel, look, I got no motivation. I don't even feel like picking up the Qur'an. How do I get rid of this rust?
This is like a person who we present before them a nice dessert. And they say this dessert is not nice. But when we present it before everyone else, everyone says it's nice. Meaning there's a group of 10 people, 9 out of 10 they said, it's nice. And it is actually nice. And the 10th person said no. Upon investigating and inspecting, maybe this person has an issue, maybe they're unwell, maybe they can't enjoy the dessert for some other reason we don't know. We find that they don't have any of those reasons. They're actually very healthy, they're okay, everything's fine. They should be appreciating it. They say no. Do we say the problem is with the dessert? or do we say the problem is with you? In fact, I would go as far as to say, even if they were unwell, then the problem would still be the sickness. It's because of the sickness they can't enjoy it.
When you're sick, you taste everything as bitter.
Yeah, let alone someone who's not sick. But it's not the dessert. The dessert is clearly being appreciated by everyone else. There's a problem, there's a barrier that you have. It could be a sickness, it could be other than that. This is a dessert that brings temporary comfort and joy and delight to the stomach, to the taste buds. And it travels there, and after, it transforms into something else. And you relieve yourself. A'azzakumullah.
Subhanallah.
But this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made for your heart, the most important part of your existence. If it is upright, everything about you, it is upright. If it is no good and corrupt. This hadith, I'm sure most people who are hearing us, if not all, have heard it. It's from the most famous hadith. But sometimes these famous hadith, for a lot of us, they've just become part and parcel of our lives, and we don't pay attention to them. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, nothing is going to be right about you, paraphrased. And he said, Ala wa hiya al-qalb. This is the heart. So if the heart is rusty and the heart is no good, it won't appreciate the Qur'an. This is the land that the Qur'an is going to settle on. The land, when you are trying to grow something as a farmer, the seed has to be good and the land has to be good. If the land is good, but the seed isn't, you won't have the results you want. If the seed is good but the land isn't, you still won't have the results you want.
So I need to be, for me to benefit from the Qur'an, or even figure out my why, I gotta sort myself out.
Absolutely.
I can't blame the Qur'an. My parents didn't do a good job. The
What do
mother
they call it in English? Introspection, they call it?
Yes, a bit of introspection, right?
Take that magnifying glass and look towards
I look inside and say, what's my issue? Why is it that I'm not able to make a start? For some people, it's the way the Qur'an was framed to them. It was sold or taught to them as a cultural thing, good to recite. You don't have to know what it means. You don't have to act on it. It doesn't have any real impact on your life. But read it once. Barakah.
Alhamdulillah. Ramadan.
Now and again.
Friday, Surah Al-Kahf.
Right, so there's got to be sometimes a reintroduction to the Qur'an that actually, hold on, this is a practical instruction manual for my life. There's going to be more practical guidance in this than Pythagoras' theorem and sociology and history and engineering for my day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
It can completely transform my life.
Absolutely.
It's the guidance from Allah.
Absolutely.
And then, I think if one looks in themselves, you will find there's a vacuum, always. There will be a vacuum where the Qur'an's place stands. And if there's no relationship with the Qur'an, you'll find a degree of emptiness that can't be filled by anything in life. You'll try it. You'll go to restaurants. You'll try desserts. You'll try milk cakes. You'll try strawberries. You'll try degree programs. You'll join clubs. You'll try sports. You'll be at the lab. And nothing can fill that hole. And you'll see at university, you look around, there's a lot of people searching. They're looking for something. You find them in the library here and there. You say, what are you looking for, bro? And he says, I'm looking for something to make me happy, to make me content, fulfilled, and nothing. And that's why when Allah talks about the Qur'an, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. That's it. Nothing else can fulfill that hole. So now someone said, okay, I've got the motivation. I've watched enough Shaykh Jamal lectures now. I want to start my journey. Where do I start? Let's say I know how to read. Do I memorize? Do I reflect? Do I recite? How do I do? Now I've got 3 years, I've got 4, 5, 6 years. What do I do?
I always say general questions should be answered generally and not specifically. Because if we mention too many specifics, it may not work for certain people.
True.
As this is a general question. However, the brothers and sisters who are in university, they are our primary audience right now. They are not seeking their degrees by themselves, self-study. It's not single-handedly. They are going through a program, an institution. They have professors and lecturers. They have material and coursework and videos and a lot of different resources. So the Qur'an al-Kareem requires this. This is the first thing. Before we go into the actual subject of which one do I begin with and how do I do it, we need to understand that we require an arif.
Someone who knows the path.
You
can't walk a road without following somebody who's been there before.
Nah, that's how it is. From our times until the Prophet ﷺ's time, rather even before the nations before us, they would take it from a person who has taken and treaded the path before them to show them the ropes and to show them the path.
Call this apprenticeship, right?
Apprenticeship.
University, right?
Be an apprentice.
Right, being an apprentice. You can't just
Subhanallah.
like learn welding or plumbing. You can't just do it yourself.
Absolutely.
You need a mentor. You got apprenticeships. It's the same thing with the Qur'an.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. There's two methods in everything in life that I found. There's trial and error, and there's tried and tested. Trial and error is yourself. I try this, it works, it doesn't work. I learn from my mistakes. I try something else, again, the same thing. Trial and error. Tried and tested is looking at the people that came before you. That doesn't mean they are perfect and they have got everything right. They probably made a lot of mistakes too. But the difference is you're learning from their mistakes, so you're actually a much better learner, rather than you trying to figure out everything by yourself. And I see this all the time with students that I meet all around the world. I memorized Juz Amma and Tabarak, and then I went to Surah Al-Kahf because I need it on Friday. And then I went to Surah Al-Baqarah and Ali Imran. And I said, oh, that's kind of okay because you went to the beginning of the Qur'an. So did you go to Surah Al-Nisa? No, I didn't, because I didn't find much virtues on Surah Al-Nisa.
Wow.
Al-Baqarah, Ali Imran, there's loads of virtues. So what did he do next? Then I went to Surah Al-Mulk, there's virtue on
It's
that.
a very scattered approach.
And then moving around.
Yeah.
So then I already know from my experience, but I like to just sort of get the answer from them.
You think it's
Yeah.
very? They think it's like eBay. And
eBay.
You know,
Yeah,
shopping.
check here.
This
Amazon.
coffee, that one.
So I already know what's going on, but I like to sort of make them realize. So I say, how's your Quran classes going? Most likely this person doesn't have a Quran class. I can't always put a bet on it, astaghfirullah. But I know most of the time, such a person will not have a program or another.
Because the teacher wouldn't let you
And they end
freestyle like this.
Exactly. And so they end up admitting it. I don't have that. I say, yeah, this is probably why you're swimming everywhere and just going from place to place. And not to say that this method isn't good. At the end of the day, this is the Quran. I want to mention something important here. The Quran, some of the people of the past used to say that the Arabic language is nadmun wa nathrun wa Quran. Nadmun, mandumat, poetry. Nathrun, prose they call it, huh? And Quran. That's amazing when you think about it. And the students of knowledge would be able to resonate with this. When you look at the various works and various subjects and disciplines in the Sharia, you normally have mandumat, or you have nathar, poems, or you have prose, like you said, right? That's how you pronounce it, Shaykh? Prose. Nah. But then the Quran, they found that it's different.
It's neither poetry nor is it prose.
No, the person who's looking at it from a bird's eye view may just decide to say the Quran is this or that, this surah is like this, that surah is like that, or it resembles this or resembles that. But that's just their personal view. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. That sounds poetic. Even the other ones, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ كَدَرَتْ وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ سُيِّرَتْ. It ends the same. That's poetry. And you have ayat like Al-Baqarah, where it's all ending a bit different. That's the other one. But the ulama will say the Quran is neither that or that. And likewise will say there's nothing like the Quran.
Sure.
So the Quran is not nadhm or nathar, and
it doesn't fit into a category of literature.
And nothing fits into the category of the Quran that's been seen.
Nothing's been able to replicate it.
Now, when we see this now, we say to our brothers and sisters that look at any book now. The Quran is how many juz? 30 juz. Look at any book. Let's just say a book has 30 chapters. Can you skip the first 10 chapters and let's say go to the 11th chapter and make sense of what's going on? Abadan. You won't be able to. Even if you make sense, it will be something very little.
Sure.
Because the story starts from somewhere and it continues until the end of the book.
And even though the Quran surahs are not like the chapters of a chronological book where, chapter 1, Tom was born, chapter 10, Tom had a child, chapter 5, 20, he died. It's not a story, one continuous story like that, but it was structured in a way.
Absolutely.
For a divine reason that only Allah knows.
Only Allah knows.
And there is a wisdom in sticking with that structure.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that there's also people who memorize back to front.
Yes.
Life is easy for the first few ajza.
Yeah.
People who memorize from Baqarah to Nas, and they have to wrestle with the long ayat.
Yeah.
And the Medinan verses and the rules and legislations and regulations. And especially when they come to Surah An-Nisa and they come across inheritance verses and laws of marriage, and it's not easy. But I think one thing that we can say is young Muslims in general in this era, there's a general trend of freestyling. Most things in life. I don't want to do what my parents told me to do. I know better. All right, Habibi, cool, go for it. I don't want to listen to my professor. I can do it myself. So there's a DIY I can cook, I can do, I just need a YouTube video. So sometimes that mindset's carried over to the Qur'an.
Absolutely.
I can figure out the Qur'an myself.
Absolutely.
But this is one path.
Yeah.
That if you want to conquer and benefit and tread this path of the Qur'an, you need a program, you need an institution, you need a teacher, you need a partner, you need something.
No.
And just like at university, there's only one way you're going to get through the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years,
No.
which is there's a structured program.
Absolutely.
And there's a teacher, and there's tutors and mentors. And
Expectations.
there's expectations. And with that structure, there's accountability.
Absolutely.
And it forces you to get through.
Absolutely.
So my personal advice to people is try to find a one-to-one tutor. If you can't, try to join a program. Do not say, I'm going to have a Qur'an partner who's my mate. Because what's going to happen is you're going to say on Tuesday, listen, I've got a Nando's dinner with a few friends. Can we just skip it today? I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll skip it.
Let's go together.
And let's go together. And then that's it. The Qur'an program ended right there. Right? Right? Pick somebody who's actually going to grab you and say, you haven't been here for 4 weeks.
Where are you?
And where are you? And I know your address. And you better be careful, or I'm gonna usallit alayk. I'm gonna get you sorted out. Exactly. Something's gonna happen. I'm not gonna leave you be just like this, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be some accountability if you want to make progress. But there's one other thing as well, is that having a teacher is bigger than just someone holding you accountable for memorization. There is a level of osmosis of taking the teachings of the Qur'an through somebody who's embodied it. I think this is what many people don't realize, is that you're not just reciting to somebody. There's more that's being transferred. For example, Shaykh Jamal, I know you have a very selected number of students who are reciting to you. And I know for a fact that you select them, and your intention is not just for them to take Qur'an from you, but for them to take a lot more. The manners, the implementation, the etiquette, how to carry, how to sit, how to talk. They may come to you with their life decisions, their questions. They might consult you, and they might not. But that's the ideal situation, right? Is that if I'm looking for a Qur'an teacher, I should be looking for a life coach who I'm going to take a lot more than just the Qur'an. And I'm going to come out of this journey a completely different person. I think this should be really everybody's intention.
Sheikh, I've noticed, subhanAllah, that I'm trying to work out where the struggle is with a lot of our brothers and sisters in the West. I used to think maybe they're just oblivious. They just don't know. So if a person doesn't know, there's no problem. And they can find out. Not all of us know everything in the beginning. But then sometimes I see some of them, they have taken these life coaches in other areas. So for example, there's a brother that I met once, and he was referring to someone, and the way he referred to him, I had no doubt in my mind and my heart that he was talking about his father. A father figure. Now, before I proceed, it could be that this person is a father figure for him.
For sure.
It could be that he actually raised him.
Sure.
We don't know these details. But this is just an example. So there's more stories like this, right? And he's referring to him. He's his coach for, I think, jiu-jitsu or something, which is quite interesting. But subhanAllah, he found with him a type of, I think, security. Like he's, I don't know what they call it in English, but he's a marja'. He's a reference point for him. He can go back to him for all of his affairs.
It's a safe space.
Safe space.
That's what they call it nowadays.
Safe space. That's the word. No security. Safe space.
Yeah.
And I said, subhanAllah, how did he win his heart? By teaching him some moves and slide tackles and, flooring people. If you come from this angle, you've pinned them and they'll never get up. If you come from this angle, they can get you back.
Sure.
That's it.
And you think,
I hope people don't take offense to the way I'm describing. I'm just giving examples.
No, I think we can today. We can be a bit more forward with the
I'm just giving examples.
senses and karate, and we can
just to clarify, I think jiu-jitsu is wonderful, and I think it's one of the most important forms of
martial arts
and exercise.
And I think so. There's one thing in the martial arts that's always been present is the importance of the sensei. The importance of the sheikh, right? You cannot learn martial arts by watching a video on the internet. No. You can try, but
you will harm yourself.
Perfect, exactly.
The aim is to get the other person.
Correct. So it's because it's something so practical. It's always been overemphasized the importance of a teacher, of the belt system of progression, of coming to the dojo, of all of these things, and it's been continuing for centuries. And it's one in a series of worldly things that you can't take without a chain.
Absolutely.
Right? It's could practically be shown to you and handed to you. And the Qur'an is not just no less. The Qur'an, the sensei that you take, the sheikh that you take from the Qur'an, the teacher you choose, is got to be somebody that's going to guide your life, show you the way,
No.
answer your questions,
No.
and coach you and help you.
Absolutely.
So I think that's, we talked about why, we talked about how, and I just want to end with a small story or a small question.
No.
Alhamdulillah, I graduated from university. And there's something in common between you and Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs.
La ilaha illallah. Astaghfirullah al-azim.
Don't worry, it's a good thing. Inshallah. Shaykh Jamal is really shocked at the comparison. Is that all three joined and didn't complete university.
Subhanallah.
But this is important for the viewers to understand. You might see somebody like me who has graduate and postgraduate studies and Lord knows what else. Maybe even somebody has a PhD. You might see someone like Shaykh Jamal. And the world that we live in judges people according to pieces of paper. But I'm going to tell you, if you're listening, from me, that it doesn't matter whether Shaykh Jamal agrees or not. I'm going to tell you that Shaykh Jamal is more knowledgeable than me. And his rank is greater than me. Because he is from the people of the Qur'an. And he may not have that piece of paper. This is something that we were reluctant to talk about. But I think in the context of university students, it's important to send this message as well. That university is not everything in life. And there's more to life. And there are people who've consciously decided not to complete that journey because they had other factors in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So could you share with us a little bit of that story? There was social pressure on you, as on all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you didn't go to university,
Mm-hmm.
you've not achieved anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
But you had something else in mind.
Absolutely.
And you thought, do I spend 45 hours a week doing this? Or do I spend it doing that? So maybe you can just talk us briefly through that decision that you went through.
Yeah, I mean, before I continue, I just want to make it clear. I'm sure our brothers and sisters and the university students who are following us and tuning in, they've followed you and they may have come across me as well. And I'm sure they have the best of intentions as we do as well. So we're not here to discourage anybody. So if we say something about university, it's a very good disclaimer because there's always that one person who may say, oh, subhanallah, that's why you're a sheikh, right? You are a failure. It's very important. There's always that one person. The 1%, subhanallah, we always, when we speak about the 1%, let's make it into the 1%, into that. We always speak about it from the context of these are the special group, the chosen group.
Sure.
But there's always from the other perspective is that the 1% sometimes is the other people that need extra
For sure.
care and concern. And
For sure.
so inshallah, we're not saying anything about university, and it's a person's own path where Allah Jalla wa Ala places them. So it's very important, and inshallah that gives hopefully some comfort to them. I came from a household that was very academic. Academia was a big thing. My brother lives here. This man has a PhD in chemistry from UCL. He's even on YouTube, but I'm not going to say his name because obviously he may not want that. His thesis is on display until now. He graduated, I think, nearly 20 years ago.
Mashallah.
But his thesis, as far as I'm aware, is still on display in the UCL campus in London. So he, mashallah, did really well. My other brother, Abdul Aziz, I can say his name. He graduated also from City University, and he did really, really well as well. So I was the third brother. And
There's a lot already now. The bar has been set.
the bar's been set, subhanallah. So what happened was, I treaded the path of the Qur'an. And I was receiving pressures. And I was told that I should also take the path of university. But it just wasn't for me. I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel this. I didn't have any interest towards it. But when it comes from those who are closest to you, you are really pinned to a corner. You feel like, okay, I don't know what to do. Maybe I should just try or something. SubhanAllah, I went up to college level and I did really well in college, alhamdulillah. Grades wise, I did very well. And then I applied for university.
Sure.
I said to myself, I'm going to apply for education studies. I teach Qur'an. I really love Qur'an. I have such a high passion. I really, honestly, genuinely, sincerely do. And because of this, I love it so much. If I'm going to do something, let me do it within that paradigm.
Yes.
Education
You
studies.
can try to align the two.
Yes.
Yes.
I got Shaykh Hisham a unconditional offer from UCL, the same uni
Your older brother went to.
Yeah, that's being microphoned at home. And
Yes.
I got the same. So now I actually have something to stand on. I can say, hey, you got a PhD, but you didn't have unconditional offer.
Allah.
I have unconditional
Yes, I
offer.
know.
So even if I just get a BA and I stop there, we know how I got in and we know how you got in.
Allah. You got something for the dinner table. You can hold
So,
your own.
yeah, so I got in and I didn't last more than 2 months. I think it was about 6-7 weeks.
Yes.
And a lot of that was absences. I just didn't fit in. I just didn't like the place. And I
It didn't click. It wasn't for you.
It didn't. It didn't. And I just dropped out after that. I didn't tell my family straight away. I was quiet about it for a few months. Then I told them.
What was the reaction like?
I can't remember the details.
It couldn't have been good.
But it wasn't really bad.
Okay, nice.
Because I would have remembered that.
Of course.
It was like, I guess, oh no.
There was an
why not?
acceptance.
Yeah, and then I was like, I think go over it.
Okay.
Because they know me. They know me. They probably saw this coming. It was probably somewhere at the back of the mind. So I dropped out. And then after more pressures during that academic year, university, you're not going to get this chance again. Of course, everyone gets a second chance in life. But I was told, you're not going to get the chance again. You should do it. You should do it. What did I do? I applied for university again for the next academic year. To my surprise, UCL gave me a second unconditional offer.
Wow, they really wanted you.
I thought they're crazy. I still do. I have no ties, so that's crazy. Like, this guy dropped out. He dropped out straight away as well. And then they gave me a second one. I don't know, from Allah. I had another UCL unconditional, same course. This time I lasted even less. I think I lasted for about a month. Then I left. طبعا, if I applied for a third time, I think they would say, yeah, this person's definitely mad, man. مجنون يعني. So I didn't apply any further. That was the path for me. مفترق طرق. So I don't want to really speak about myself. A person shouldn't speak about themselves so much. But at the age I am now, and where I am in life right now, family-wise, responsibility-wise, financially-wise, everything-wise, subhanallah, the Arabs, they say, لو استقبلت من أمري ما استدبرت. If I could go back, it's not really an Islamic sort of idea. We shouldn't say no. If I only did that, we shouldn't say that. But if I were to go back, I don't think this is one of the things I would change. I don't believe so. I don't think I'll say, okay, I can go back. Let me just try this time and just, ride it out the 3 years and just go to uni. 3 years will be done soon. Do an online program, open, I just simply wouldn't do it.
It's not just that. We wouldn't have Shaykh Jamal. The Shaykh Jamal that we have.
Yeah, I mean...
it's the amount of time and hours that you could double down. I mean, it's funny that when Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs, when they left university and dropped out to open multi-million-dollar businesses, it's glorified.
Subhanallah.
It's great dropping out. If you got $1 billion idea, drop out. Okay, I have $1 billion idea, but the return on my investment is only going to come with the akhirah.
Allah.
Oh yeah, not you, Habibi.
Subhanallah.
I've got $1 billion. Like, there is now this hustle culture, entrepreneurship, make money, side business, solopreneur, all this stuff being pumped on social media.
Yeah.
And in that, there's going to be one voice coming from us saying, there's nothing wrong with university, there's nothing wrong with work, there's nothing wrong with entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But we've got to say it straight. There's goals and there's goals.
There's goals and there's goals.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, يعلمون ظاهرا من الحياة الدنيا وهم عن الآخرة هم غافلون. There are people, all they know is about the sciences of the worldly life. And they are then heedless about the afterlife. That's a problem. There's no issue with you having a PhD in cell biology.
Absolutely.
As long as you also know Surah Fatir, where Allah talks about His divine design of this world. You need both. But there's one type of knowledge. If you lack, maybe you won't get as nice a job, or you won't have the same worldly opportunities. But there's another type of knowledge. If you lack, it's destruction for you and me. And that's the knowledge of the Qur'an. So we've got to be very clear about what the priority is. And there's no saying that I'm somebody who I memorized maybe half the Qur'an while I was at university. So I'm somebody who I can say from experience, you can try to do both, but you've got to know which one's more important.
Absolutely.
And it's not cell biology, and it's not electrical engineering, and it's not history. It is absolutely and unequivocally from the commandment of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's the Qur'an. And whoever has the Qur'an, no matter what you lost in life, you won't be worried, and you won't be sad, and you'll have lost nothing. And no matter what you've gained in life, and we've both experienced students, people listening to talks, people coming up to us and saying, I'm 40, I'm 50, I want to start my journey with the Qur'an now. And you can tell very accomplished people, but without the Qur'an, life is empty.
Absolutely.
I think this is like the message to send, inshallah.
Absolutely. I just want to add one hadith that came to mind when you mentioned this ayah from Surah Al-Rum. And this hadith, I think, is really, really good to end with for our brothers and sisters. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُبْغِضُ كُلَّ جَعْظَرِيٍّ جَوَّاظٍ صَخَّابٍ فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ جِيفَةٍ بِاللَّيْلِ حِمَارٍ بِالنَّهَارِ عالم بأمر الدنيا جاهل بأمر الآخرة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Allah doesn't like. Hate. يبغض. He hates every single individual who has these characteristics that are mentioned in the hadith. So before we even mention it, as a believer, even if you have the smallest amount of iman in your heart, you are just the 9-to-5er entrepreneur, businessman, who just goes about his investments and his money and cash flows and that's it. You do have iman, right? This iman that you have, even if it is small, when you hear something like this, you should be paying attention. Because this could be you that is being described and explained.
Sure.
Every single person who is essentially dunya orientated.
Sure. As their primary pursuit.
Primary pursuit.
Sure.
Allah hates. Allah hates, not Allah has a problem with them, their intro. Allah hates. It's an authentic report. The scholars haven't even differed on its authenticity. He hates this person. The person who's made his goal to gather money by any means necessary. This is his ham, this is his gham, this is his concern, these are his worries. Every day, every night, that is it. In the marketplace, they are shouting and screaming from the top of their lungs, calling everybody to them. Some of us are not, don't always take it literally. I don't have a marketplace.
The marketplace has changed today.
The marketplace is online now.
Sure.
So it's the same thing. Yeah. Doing this, the process. Sometimes I find it very telling that a person can just hear this and just go by it. They say in Arabic, murur al-kiram. Just swiftly go by and not have any effect on their heart.
Subhanallah.
The Prophet ﷺ said, in the daytime, they are like a donkey. Imagine someone called you a donkey now. Someone called you any animal, and a person referred to you like this. How would you feel? This is the Prophet ﷺ saying, through revelation, inspired by Allah the Almighty. Himarin bin Nahar, he's like a donkey during the day, carrying loads and commerce and trades and taking it back and bringing it forward. That's what the donkey does. You put things on top. Jifatin bil layl, in the night time, like a dead corpse.
Fast asleep.
Fast asleep. So tired because of the long day they gave to the dunya.
Yeah.
So in the night time, they don't remember Allah. The believer, even if they turn from side to side, they remember Allah. That's what the believer does.
Sure.
The believer remembers Allah. The believer wakes up for Salat al-Qiyam, Witr, and prays Fajr. At least this person doesn't do any of that. Like a dead animal, dead corpse, dead person.
But when the 8:45 a.m. work alarm rings,
He has to. Even if he slept at 6 a.m.
Yes.
And he has to get up at 8 he will wake up.
He will wake up, yeah.
But if he slept at 10 and Fajr is 5 and he had his 5-6 hours, it's too difficult. Here is the crux of everything. عالم بأمر الدنيا جاهل بأمر الآخرة. I can't memorize Qur'an, I can't learn Arabic, I really did try. These are excuses that we have made up for ourselves. Because if your mind has shut down completely, it doesn't work, that's a different case.
Yeah.
But the Prophet ﷺ said, in the dunya, they are alim. They understand everything, very smart, calculations and prices and everything, without the use of anything external, no calculators, everything they can work out in their mind. Jahilan bi amr al-akhirah. One ayah, he has told himself, I can't learn it. One matter of the religion, I can't do it. This person isn't a person who isn't unable to do it. This is a person who's mahroom.
They've been prohibited, prevented,
blockaded.
Yeah, they've been blocked.
A barrier has been placed before them. And this barrier, you can push it. You can move it away. You can get to the other side if you are able to, with the tawfiq of Allah. But you have to understand that the path you're treading is a very dangerous one. لأن الدنيا والآخرة بيد الله. The dunya is in the hands of Allah. It's not in the hands of these people that you're networking with day and night. That it's almost as if you place your trust in them. I have to make sure this person is
There's
coming.
over-investment in the means.
Over-investment in the means and not
there's
enough.
a forgetfulness of the one who created all the means.
In the Qur'an, the verses that speak about the dunya and the akhirah and how Allah gives them to the believers, He mentions them most of the time together. But He mentions prerequisites and conditions. من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Surely, and there are adawat al-tawqid, definitely, surely, we will give this person a very pleasant, healthy, happy, productive life in the dunya. And in the next life, وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْرَهُمْ بِأَحْسَنِ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. But Allah said, مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى. You don't even have time to do a'mal salihah. There's no time left in the day. There's no time left in the night.
Yeah.
You're recovering in the night time.
Sure.
And in the daytime, you're chasing the inevitable. The rizq, yes, seek it. And this is always how we start with the disclaimer and end with it. You have to seek it. You have to work. You have to have your craft.
Sure.
You have to. So we're not saying that this is wrong. However, this is the thing that Allah has guaranteed. Like He's guaranteed death, the narrations pair them up together. He's also guaranteed your rizq. How comes you are interfering so much in the thing that Allah has guaranteed?
Sure.
And the thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you to take as a path for you to reach Him, which is your iman and your deen, you have neglected. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to act on
Allow
what
us
we've
to act
discussed.
on
And I
what
think
we've discussed.
to round it off, those who are at university or who are at workplaces, they find themselves experts in cybersecurity and in sociology and in history and in many worldly subjects. But they find themselves at a distance with the Qur'an. Get started. You can do both. Don't prevent yourself, don't prohibit yourself. Find a program, find an institution, find a partner. The same way that we spend so much time looking for where to buy our groceries and mapping out our career paths. Map out your journey with the Qur'an. And we want to see a generation that are experts in fields of this world and are at the same time experts and masters of the Qur'an. And what an amazing generation we're hoping to see. Jazakumullah khair for your time.
Barakallah feekum.
And inshallah we'll see Shaykh Jamal again. Wassalamu alaikum
Wa alaikum assalam
wa rahmatullahi
wa barakatuh.